Look, I need you to stop what you are doing and pay very close attention to what I'm about to say, because the wait is over and the checks are hitting bank accounts right now. For millions of you, the number you see on your statement is going to be confusing and perhaps even deeply frustrating. You have seen the headlines and you have heard the government talk about the 2.8% cost of living adjustment, or COLA. You are probably thinking that finally you have a little bit of breathing room. But I am here to tell you that if you are only looking at that top line number, you are walking into a massive financial minefield. The government is giving with one hand here in 2026, but because of the one big beautiful bill and some very aggressive adjustments to Medicare costs, they are taking back more than you think with the other. We need to talk about real numbers because the pamphlets they sent you do not tell the full story. In 2025, the average Social Security check was $2,015. With this 2.8% COLA kicking in, that check should be $2,071. That looks like an extra $56 a month, which might cover a few bags of groceries or a tank of gas. But here is the reality slap that 2026 has waiting for you. Medicare. Part B premiums have just skyrocketed to $202.90 a month. If you were paying the standard $185 last year, that is an almost 10% jump in your health care costs. When you do the math, that raise you were promised just shrunk to about $38. And that is before we even talk about the tax torpedo or the new 2026 tax brackets. I know you are worried because I see your comments every single day. You are asking if Social Security will be there for you and how you are supposed to survive if inflation keeps eating your COLA. I hear you. This is the most important breakdown you will see this year because we are going deep into the weeds of the law. We are going to look at Form 1040 SR and how the new Section 70103 senior bonus, which is that $6,000 extra deduction everyone is whispering about, might actually be your secret weapon to saving thousands of dollars. Take Sarah, for example. She is 70 years old and has been retired for 3 years. She called me panicking because her net check actually went down after her Part D prescription plan adjusted. Or look at Bob, who is 66 and turning his full retirement age this August. Bob is still working a part-time consulting gig, and he is terrified that if he earns $1 too much this year, the Social Security Administration is going to come clawing back his benefits. Before we go further into Bob and Sarah's specific numbers, I need you to do something for me. If you find this level of detail helpful, please hit the like button right now. It tells the algorithm that this technical, honest financial information is important, and it helps other retirees find this before they make a mistake on their taxes. If you haven't subscribed yet, hit that button and turn on the notification bell because 2026 is going to see more policy shifts than any year in the last decade, and you cannot afford to miss an update. Let's break down the math of this 2.8% COLA versus the Medicare tug of war. Grab a pen and paper. If your benefit is $2,015, you multiply that by 1.028 to get your new gross of $2,071.42. The SSA usually rounds this down, so you are looking at $2,071. Now subtract the new Medicare Part B premium of $202.90. In 2025, you were likely paying $185. That $17.90 increase is a direct hit to your raise. But it gets worse for people like Sarah. Sarah's Medicare Part D prescription drug plan also saw a median increase of 12%. Even though the government capped out-of-pocket drug costs at $2,000 this year, the insurance companies are clawing that money back through higher monthly premiums. Sarah's plan went from $48 to $65. When you subtract the Part B hike and the Part D hike from her $58 gross raise, Sarah is left with exactly $23.90 in actual new money. If she buys one carton of milk and a loaf of bread, and those prices have gone up by $3, that $23 is gone by the second week of the month. Sarah is effectively living on less than she did 2 years ago. Now let's look at the biggest change in the tax code for 2026, which is the one big beautiful bill, specifically Section 70103. This is what I call the senior bonus. For the 2026 tax year, the government has introduced a new $6,000 additional standard deduction for individuals age 65 or older. If you are a married couple and both of you are over 65 filing jointly, that is a $12,000 shield on your income. When you open your 2026 Form 1040 SR, I want you to look closely at line 12. In 2025, the standard deduction for a married couple was around $29,200. In 2026, with inflation adjustments and the Section 70103 bonus, a married couple's standard deduction is hitting a massive $44,200. Why does this matter so much? It is because of the tax torpedo. You know the rule where if your provisional income, which is half of your Social Security plus your other income, exceeds $32,000 for a couple, up to 50% of your benefits become taxable. If it exceeds $44,000, up to 85% is taxable. This new $12,000 bonus deduction is designed to keep more of your money in your pocket, but it only works if you don't trigger the IRMAA limits. IRMAA stands for Income-Related Monthly Adjustment Amount. And in 2026, the cliffs are steeper than ever. If your modified adjusted gross income from 2 years ago was over $106,000 as an individual, you aren't just paying $202.90 for Medicare. You could be paying $284 or even $500 a month. Let's pivot to Bob's situation because this impacts millions of you who are still working. Bob is 66 and turned 67, his full retirement age, in August of this year. Bob wants to keep his consulting job, but he is worried about the earnings test. For 2026, if you are younger than your full retirement age for the entire year, the earnings limit has been adjusted to $24,480. For every $2 you earn over that, the SSA takes back $1 of your benefits. But since Bob is reaching his full retirement age this year, he falls under a much more generous rule. His limit is $65,160. However, Bob made a huge mistake. He thought that limit applied to the whole year. It actually only applies to the months before his birthday in August. If Bob earns $70,000 evenly across the year, he will earn about $40,131 in those first 7 months. Since that is under $65,160, he is safe. But if Bob had stayed retired at 62 and earned that same $70,000, he would have been $45,120 over the lower limit. The SSA would have withheld $22,760 of his benefits. He would have worked all year just to give his Social Security check back to the government. While we are talking about Bob, we have to mention the Social Security wage base increase. For those of you still earning high wages, the cap has moved to $184,500 for 2026. This is up from $176,100 last year. That means you are paying that 6.2% payroll tax on an additional $8,400 of income. That is an extra $520 out of your pocket. If you are self-employed, you are paying both halves. So you are losing over $1,000 just to this one change. This is why I keep telling you that 2026 is a year of hidden costs. If you are finding this breakdown of the wage base and the earnings test useful, please take a second to share this video. Send it to your brother, your sister, or your coworkers who are thinking about retiring this year. The more people we can protect from these clawback rules, the better. And don't forget to leave a comment below. I want to know your real raise number. Subtract your Medicare increase from your COLA and tell me what is left. I am reading every single one of those comments to see how this is hitting you on the ground. Now, let's talk about the max payout strategy for 2026. I get asked all the time if it is worth waiting until age 70. If you hit your full retirement age in 2026 at age 67, your maximum possible monthly benefit is $4,152. But if you can hold off until age 70, you get those delayed retirement credits of 8% per year. That brings your potential check to $5,148 a month. For the first time in history, we are seeing people pull in over $5,000 a month from Social Security. But to get there, you have to survive the inflation gap. You are betting that your health and the 2.8% COLA will outpace your immediate need for cash. It is a high-stakes game. We also have to address the elephant in the room, the trust fund. The 2025 trustees report confirmed that the fund could be depleted by late 2032 or early 2033. Because the SSA is feeling the pressure, they have implemented a much stricter overpayment recovery policy starting this month. If the SSA sent you too much money in the past due to a clerical error, they are no longer asking for it back slowly. The default recovery rate is now 10% of your total monthly benefit. If you receive a letter in a 2026 stamped envelope saying you owe money, do not ignore it. Bob almost lost his car payment because he ignored a letter about a $3,000 overpayment from 3 years ago. They started taking $210 a month out of his check without a second warning. In 2025, you could negotiate a small monthly payment, but in 2026, they are playing hardball. You must file an appeal using Form SSA 561 or a waiver using Form SSA 632 within 30 days to stop that automatic 10% deduction. So what is your 2026 survival plan? First, you must audit your net check. Go to the SSA website and log into your My Social Security account right now. Look at your 2026 benefit statement. If your net increase is less than $30, you need to adjust your budget today. Second, you have to claim your senior bonus. When you file your taxes next year for this 2026 period, ensure your tax preparer knows about Section 71003 of the One Big Beautiful Bill. That extra $6,000 deduction on Form 1040 SR Line 12 is your best defense against the tax torpedo. Third, if you are working like Bob, keep your monthly earnings below $5,430 if you are in your full retirement age year. If you are younger than your full retirement age, keep it below $2,040 a month. Fourth, you need to check your Medicare Part D plan. If you are like Sarah and your drug plan premiums ate your raise, remember that you have options. Use the Medicare Plan Finder tool to see if there is a 2026 plan that covers your specific prescriptions for less. Saving even $20 a month on your premium is the same as getting another 1% COLA raise. Finally, watch out for the 1% remittance tax if you are living abroad or sending money to family overseas. The OBBB included a small excise tax on certain transfers made using Social Security funds. It is a small detail, but it can add up if you aren't careful. I know this feels like a lot. You worked for decades, paying into a system that promised you security, and now you have to navigate a maze of forms and shifting limits just to keep what you earned. It feels like the goalposts are moving right as you are about to kick the field goal. But remember this, knowledge is your shield. You are not a victim of these 2026 changes if you have a plan. You are taking control by being here and learning these numbers. You are telling the government that you know your rights and you know your value. I am committed to being your partner in this. I will be here every single week tracking the 2026 policy shifts, the trust fund updates, and the IRS changes. If Congress decides to adjust the remittance tax or if the SSA updates the COLA forecast for 2027, you will hear it here first. We are in this together. Before I go, I want to ask you one more time to hit that like button and subscribe. We are trying to reach as many retirees as possible this month because these 2026 changes are catching people off guard. When you share this video, you might be saving a neighbor or a friend from a $500 monthly mistake. Leave that comment about your real raise below, and let's get the conversation started. How are you spending that extra $38? Or are you finding that it is already gone? Let's talk about it. I will see you in the next video where we will dive into the new 2026 RMD rules and how to protect your 401k from the same tax traps we discussed today. Your money, your life, your retirement. Let's protect every cent of it.